it seems like Democrats are basically giving up. This was my best segue, by the way. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back for this. Hakeem Jeffries is the most powerful Democrat in the House of Representatives. And he says on Twitter, presidents come and presidents go, through it all. God is still on the throne. Shut the fuck up about this God shit, man. This is, God, I hate how Democrats are just so fucking useless. How they don't understand the severity of the situation we're facing. Presidents come and presidents go until they become a fucking dictator. And they're in power for 12 fucking years like Hitler was. What is this, man? What is this fairy tale ass tweet? You think God is doing anything? You think that Christianity has anything to do with this? No, man. God damn. Some Republican dipshit from Tennessee just put a bill into the House that would allow Donald Trump to run from a third term. Like, how do you think authoritarianism starts? Are these people so fucking dumb that they have no understanding of history or political theory at all? Like, this is the same thing with mass deportations. Like, do you think the Holocaust just started? Hitler woke up one day and said, I'm going to kill 12 million people. No, man. He was in power for 6 years, 7 years before he started the Holocaust. There's a lead up to this. America, like, these people think that shit just happens in a vacuum. It doesn't. There is always a cause and an effect. Presidents come and presidents go. And presidents come sometimes in the Oval Office. Presidents come sometimes. And while they're coming, they do nefarious shit, right? Bill Clinton was coming and then also coming all over North America with NAFTA. George Bush did the Iraq War. Joe Biden did the drone war. Barack Obama did the drone war, right? Like, they all do bad shit. And the purpose of the opposition party is to prevent bad shit from happening. But Democrats have completely resigned to fighting against Donald Trump this time around. They're a bunch of fucking losers. Straight up. The Democratic Party is full of crybaby, whiny losers, aside from Bernie Sanders, AOC, and Rashida Tlaib. There's like 1% of Democratic lawmakers who actually give a fuck in stopping our descent into fascism. They actually give a fuck about preventing Donald Trump from becoming a dictator. And then these dipshits like Hakeem Jeffries are like, God got me, bro. God left. God resigned. He left the party. The host migrated. Right? You need to be exhausting options in this resistance. And I don't mean just like lib posting. I mean actual fight in the courtroom, right? Introduce lawsuits, challenge the stuff that he's doing, argue against his repeal of birthright citizenship. You need to talk about how mass deportations would take billions off of the US economy. You have to mention how Hitlerian it is that Donald Trump wants to corral Mexicans and Guatemalans and put them in fucking concentration camps. But instead we get platitudes. Presidents come and presidents go. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris is on a fucking beach in Hawaii falling out of the coconut tree. This also doesn't even make sense because there are legitimate ways that the Democrats could fight this. They act as if every loss is them getting fucking dunked on like they're Jason Terry and Donald Trump is LeBron James. Meanwhile, Republicans don't have a supermajority in the Senate. They have like a 4 fucking lead in the House of Representatives. Donald Trump won this election by 1.5 percentage points. This is not an FDR style control of the government. They don't have 80% of both legislative bodies. This wasn't Ronald Reagan in 1984 or whenever the fuck he won 49 states. Donald Trump is still a deeply unpopular person. More than 50% of the country does not like him. He has his base, and that's it. There needs to be legitimate discussion on there needs to be legitimate discussion within the Democratic Party about the specifics of his agenda. and how his executive orders don't fucking do anything for anybody. He repealed he repealed an executive order signed by the second best LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson, that had been on the book since 1965 that prevented discrimination in federal contractors. You need to bring this up to people and say, how does this make groceries more expensive for you, or more? How does this make groceries cheaper for you? Donald Trump signed an executive order that recognizes only two genders. What is that going to do about your landlord raising rent 15% for you this year? His his agenda is nothing. It's nothing. There's nothing there except fucking woke, or I don't even want to say woke, anti-woke bullshit. He doesn't do anything substantial for people. In the last show I talked about the Republican tax proposal for this year. You need to go out and mention how their budget, their fiscal reconciliation bullshit or whatever it is going to cost lower and middle income earners $2.2 trillion. You need to talk about how if you make less than $360,000, you're going to see a tax increase. You need to talk about the elimination of the head of household filing status, which is a tax single single parents. There are legitimate ways for Democrats to fight back, but I think that they just don't fucking care. They don't give a shit because they're going to get paid either way. They are more like Republicans than they are like their voters. They are all tied to the same corporate interests. The only difference is that they have George Soros and the Republicans have Elon Musk. Aside from the very few, the like I could probably count on two fucking hands, the very few Democratic representatives who are entirely, funded by the grassroots. Democrats have just given up. Like, it's so sad. We're 6 days into his presidency, and me, a dipshit with a YouTube show, is doing more for the Democrats than the Democrats in power. That should not be the case. If we had a functioning political system, there would be actual, I don't want to say retaliation. I can't think of the word right now, but there would be an actual effort in limiting the destruction that Donald Trump is planning to do. Talk about Project 2025 again. What was it, like 2/3 of his executive orders either mimicked or were closely related to Project 2025? This is stuff that you have to talk about. And it's not even just Democratic lawmakers, it's Democratic media in general. Like CNN brings on Scott Jennings, the CSO of Donald Trump Enterprises, the chief suck officer, and he'll say the craziest shit, and and the Democrats on the panel, all the libs on the panel are like, wow, you know what? That's actually a great point. I never thought about that. Like, what are you doing? What is your purpose here? If you just want to be a centrist, that's fine, but be a centrist elsewhere. Get the fuck out of my face with this centrist bullshit.